Welcome everybody to Ask the Organizer with Big Rocks Organizing. This is our monthly event on the first Wednesday of each month where we have a different topic each month and we invite you to join us for a participatory event. And this month we're talking about the gentle art of Swedish death cleaning. And yes, that is DEATH. People have asked me to clarify that before. So even if you haven't read the book or you haven't seen the TV show, that's no problem. We hope that you'll still learn some new things today and that we'll have a great discussion. My name is Whitney. I'm the founder of Big Rocks Organizing. Our company has been around for almost 8 years. We're based out of Beaverton and serve the Portland metro area and Southwest Washington and beyond. And I would love for our team members just to take a few moments and introduce themselves. And then we'll jump right into a conversation. Jean, do you want to kick it off, or Andrea?
Yeah, I'm the oldest. I go first. I'm Andrea. I'm an assistant professional organizer. I've been with Big Rocks for about 6 months now.
And she wrote our lovely blog that's coming out later this month on Swedish Death Cleaning. So thank you, Andrea, for that.
It was fun.
Jean?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So nice to see all of you here. Thank you for joining us. I'm assistant. I'm Whitney's assistant. I'm located here in the Philippines. I'm their virtual assistant, and I've been with Big Rock since February. It's really nice to be part of this team. And it's so nice to see all of you. Thanks for coming.
Jean and Sophie. Today is her first day with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm just joining Big Rocks now. Looking forward to it. Read the book and excited to be discussing this topic today.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm curious, how many folks have read the book, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning? We have a handful. Okay. How many people have seen the television show? Now, I haven't watched it yet either, but it's on my list. Okay. So, well, first of all, I'm going to back up the bus. So let's talk about what is Swedish death cleaning. So, Andrea, would you explain to us in a nutshell?
Yeah, in a nutshell, it's about doing a great kindness to yourself and your loved ones by cleaning out your possessions long before you pass, so it doesn't become somebody else's burden. That's Swedish death cleaning.
And we could do it at any age, the author recommends, right? She's quite a character. Her name is Margareta Magnusson, and she won't tell you her age in the book. She just says she's somewhere between 80 and 100. And it's a really pretty quick and easy read. The audiobook is only 2 hours and 37 minutes. And it's almost like having a chat with your kindly grandmother who's giving you advice on how to go through all of your items and clean house. So I highly recommend it if you haven't had a chance to read it yet. I'm curious, for those of you who have read the book, what were some of your favorite highlights or some things that you wanted to share?
I loved her practical advice. I love the whole book, but I love that she said, start with something unemotional. Start with a closet of clothes or something simple that doesn't trigger a lot of memories and emotions like letters or photographs would do. Just start with something small that won't knock you out.
Absolutely. A good piece of advice. Sophie?
One of the things that stood out to me was her concept of having a box of things that are just for you, and that you've communicated to people that these things just get put away when you pass. They aren't for people to go through. They're your personal things that only you really get that satisfaction from.
I don't know if she called it a burn box, but that's kind of what I call it in my mind. So it's, yeah, that box of items that you can enjoy while you're still on the planet, but once you're gone, your loved ones don't look at it. They just torch it and it goes away. So I enjoyed that concept as well. I'm curious for those who have read it, if you had some other gems that you wanted to share or something that really influenced you.
I loved her quote where she said, your family wants nice things, not all the things.
Yes.
Which it was, just a very succinct way of saying they don't want everything. Don't do that to them.
Yes. And also don't pressure your loved ones to take things if they're not a good fit for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was such a short book, but there's just so many great nuggets in there. Any other favorite nuggets that you want to pull out and share for the group, for the greater good?
I like it when she said it, to not start organizing or sorting your pictures and letters, because you might get stuck there if you're gonna start with sorting your pictures and old letters. It's better to start with big stuff. So it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think she says start with clothing and start with closets, like Andrea mentioned. You can also start with the big items like the furniture to make decisions. I like how she gives the idea of putting labels on the back of things or stickers, if this is for so-and-so, this is the history of this item. That's pretty neat.
She also made a point that you don't have to be a blood relative to give someone your pots and pans. I'm reading from this, your chairs from your attic, an old rug. She said, there are a lot of people out there just starting homes who would love to have things like that. So when you think about who you might give something to, it doesn't have to be a niece or a nephew or a grandchild. It could be, the child of a friend.
Absolutely. Somebody out there can use what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. She's pretty blunt when she says, you didn't take time off to organize your things and death clean your things. So what makes you think that your loved ones are going to be able to take off, weeks or months to deal with your stuff after you're gone? And please don't do that to them. It's got a tough love, I think, her attitude, which I appreciated. Yeah.
I'm Kate. The Beaverton, Portland area has community warehouse. And so that's a great organization that helps newcomers, maybe, immigrants or escapees from Afghanistan or something, helps them get set up in their first home here. I think free, we can donate to them. They get it free. We can take a tax deduction. They don't have to spend money on, basic items.
Yeah, they're a great resource, and Big Rocks Organizing is actually a partner with them. It's called the Furnishing Forward program. So
that's fabulous.
Yeah, they'll waive the $80 pickup fee for our clients, and it's like a furniture bank. So back when I was a domestic violence advocate and I worked with survivors of domestic violence, I was a caseworker. And so I would come with my clients who were starting over in new apartments and transitional housing, and they would get to kind of go shopping and pick out the new items to start over with their kids in apartments. And it's such a wonderful resource. So think about your items could go right here in the local community to help people if you're here in the Portland metro area.
Yeah, marvelous.
Yes.
Whitney, will that community warehouse for the $80, will they take it out of your house? Or is it like Habitat for Humanity's Restore, only $40 pickup and they resell things? But if you're donating and you have them come, it has to be in your driveway, or they won't come in the house.
Right. And Habitat has that, I believe, for insurance purposes. With Community Warehouse, they can come into the ground floor. So sometimes if our clients have a 2-story home, we'll partner with haulers or movers who can move things downstairs. And then again, Community Warehouse waives the $80 pickup fee for our clients, which is really lovely.
Yes.
Yeah. And you can also donate things that are not necessarily furniture specific. They have an estate store where they sell items and then the proceeds benefit the work that they do and support the mission and helping people in the community. So I'm curious. Okay, we have a question in the chat. The place that we're talking about is Community Warehouse, which is a local nonprofit organization. Consider it like a furniture bank. Like we have a food bank that helps those who are hungry. We have a furniture bank for families that are starting over, whether they lost their home to a fire, a flood, domestic violence, perhaps they're new immigrants to our community. So they're a really great organization, and our team actually chose to support them. So we donate quarterly to them from our team proceeds. Thank you, Sophie, for putting that in the chat. I really appreciate it. So back to our book. I'm curious, what are some other things that stood out to you? Or did you have questions about things? Sue, I saw you just turned your camera on. Did you have a question or a comment? And that's okay if you don't too. So Teresa, before this started, we chatted a little bit one-on-one, and you said that you had read the book and it sounds like it's given you kind of a start. Can you tell us what's happening this weekend to kind of motivate you to speed your process up?
There's a local church that does a lot of work with homeless folks or people that are down on their luck, and they're having a rummage sale this weekend. So I've been going through and trying to find things that are of quality that can be resold. Last year, I think she said they raised around $7,000 with their rummage sale. So it helped motivate me to again find some things. I've taken 2 loads and there's another load just to my left. It will need to go.
That's wonderful. Having that motivator to help other people, I think, could definitely spark action. So I'm curious, out of those of us who are here, how many of us have had to clean up? She calls it clean up after somebody who has passed. Have you had to clear out a loved one's home? Yeah. So many of us.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you could speak to that experience, and what was challenging about that, or what do you wish you had known at the time? And how did it make you feel to have to do that?
Okay, I'm Kathy. My mom died in 1987, like yesterday, and she lived just across from SeaTac in south of Seattle, and I lived here in Beaverton. So when she died, I donated all of her medical equipment, which is a bunch, and they came and got it all at once, and that was great. And then I asked all of the relatives in the area to come and take what they wanted, and then I donated things to, I don't know what charity, but some charity. And then the real work began of cleaning up the house, putting it up for sale, doing all of that. At the same time, going to King County courthouse, I was not only her executor, but I was her attorney as well. Attorney, and I closed her estate and was responsible for all of that, and everything was new to me. But like you, I was a social worker to begin with. And that helped me. And I asked everybody who might know anything in order to get through all of the different complexities of ending somebody's financial and social estate.
Kathy, I'm
It
curious,
was a good experience.
how long did that whole process take you?
Under 2 years. It was under 2 years. So
A lot of time and
what had happened once was somebody told my mom to give myself and my sister her house. So she changed she did it when she was alive. So I got on her and said, no, Mom, you don't want to do that. So she changed it back, legally. But when parents say, oh, I'll just give him the house and it'll be so much easier afterwards. No, that is not true.
yes, you definitely want to talk to an attorney before doing anything major like that. Thank you for sharing that, Kathy. Jill, I see your hand is up.
My husband and I, well, mostly he, I didn't do much. He was the executor of his father's estate, but there was relatives involved. And I want to know how other people deal with relatives, because that being the executor, I refused to be my mother's executor because I knew that would be issues. So I just wondered how people handle that, because that can really get emotional and touchy. No matter how honest you are, the other party feels hurt. I don't know what the hurt comes from not being the executor, or if it's because they're just that way anyway. But I wonder how other people handled that situation, if they had to.
Does anyone have direct experience and can speak to Jill's question?
I sort of do. I was the executor on my dad's estate, which he neglected to tell me until after. I didn't find out till after he died. Thanks, Dad. And he had been widowed years before and was remarried, and his wife came to me and she needed money. And I thought, you know what? It wasn't in the will that he was leaving her anything. He left stuff to me and my siblings, and we decided collectively. She took care of him for the last 7 years of his life and kept him from being lonely. And that to us, that felt like it was worth something. And, I also wanted to keep the peace in the family. But like I said, thanks, Dad. No warning. It's tough though when there are different factions of the family, and there can be feuding and hurt feelings and stuff. It's difficult.
Absolutely. That happened to my partner. Her uncle made her the executor of the estate, also without letting her know, instead of the children or the grandchildren. And so they were not very happy about that. But his will was very explicit, and everything was said, this is what's going to happen. And so because he had made those decisions ahead of time, he didn't communicate them, but he did make them. That can be something that I think, we can do as a gift to our loved ones, is have all of our ducks in a row with those estate planning documents, and then letting people know what our wishes are, asking permission before making them the personal representative or the executor of the estate. That's always respectful.
Yeah, I echo the, getting your ducks in a row thing. I had a great aunt who passed. at 86 with no will, no lawyer, no nothing. And, you know, just little bits of money in accounts everywhere. And it took years to unravel it.
Gosh. That sounds like a nightmare.
It was.
Jill, did that help address your question? You did mention that you declined to be the executor of the estate, which sounds like it could be a really healthy decision.
Yes, without giving away too much, I knew that there would be a problem if my mother had, and she only lived 3 days after she got the will together. And she said she wanted me to be the executress. And I said, no, you can't do that because it'll put too much strife in this family. So she made all 3 of us her daughters. And before I couldn't stay to help. So I turned to my sister and I said, I know you'll do the right thing. And I walked away. And everyone said, did she? And I have no idea. I'm not going to worry about it. I have no idea if she did the right thing. And that's the only way you can handle that. You cannot. Otherwise, it just gets ugly. But I don't think very many people realize that can happen.
Definitely. We've seen that on our team when we're working with people who've lost a loved one. Family members can really, the different emotions come out, people change. The behavior can be very surprising, like you mentioned. Yeah.
It was shocking what my husband had to go through. And that was unfortunate because his brother was made the executor until he realized that my brother-in-law had written the will. And he said, wait a minute, I want this changed back to what I want. And so he changed the executor. And so anyway, you can see that it can get ugly with families.
Unfortunately.
And I think that mine's all, I hope it's all together. I have a trust, and I keep telling people you need to do a trust and do it young. You can always change a trust. So what if you're 35? If you have a family, do it. Be ahead of the schedule.
How many of us have a will or a trust? Do you have some estate planning documents in place? Okay, excellent. Oh, I love it. Yay.
Our financial advisor advised us to use our lawyer as our executor rather than a family member, which we did. And, so that way, when the time comes, he'll bear the brunt of, whatever happens. And I thought that was, it's good to have a neutral party.
Do you have a trust or a will?
We have a will.
Because you can have a trust and then the trust has a will associated with it. The trust really tells exactly what you want, and it doesn't get tied up in probate.
Yeah.
Which is something that can really tie things up. So you might want to look at the difference.
Yeah. We might actually have a trust that we did it a long time ago.
Yeah. And you can always change it because if you move or you change accounts, you have to update it anyway.
And with your move to Oregon in the last couple of years, that could be.
Oh, yeah. And every state has different rules too.
Yeah. Well, maybe in the future we'll have a specific session on estate planning, and we'll invite an estate planning attorney or elder law attorney to join us as the guest expert if that's something that people would be interested in. But as far as the gentle art of Swedish death cleaning, I'm curious if anybody has started the process, or maybe you've even completed the process and you've talked with your loved ones about what you want to see happen with your items. Way to go, Jill. Nice job.
Well, I'm planning on asking you to come and help me finish it.
We would be
The
honored.
truth be known.
We'd be honored to work with you again.
I know. I encourage everyone to use you as a source because it's incredible.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you.
I haven't yet read the whole book, but yesterday the Washington Post had an article about the book about, how she came about writing it. And even though it's brief, it's got a lot of great suggestions. And so now I need to get the book, obviously, and go into more detail. I will say about 5 years ago, a friend came down. She had some extra time. And I had just read Marie Kondo's book. And that really worked for me. And making lists worked for me. So with her, we went through sort of a closet at a time and my books, and I made a list of 100 items of clothing, 100 books. I don't know what else, but I had about 10 different lists. And when I got to 100, then we packed it in the car and took some to Habitat Restore, some to the library resale shop, and some to Goodwill. And like, she didn't leave the house until we had gone to all those places because she didn't want me to sneak it back into the house. And that was really helpful because she didn't care about any of my stuff. But she knew that I might have a sentimental reason to sneak it back in. So it was like, once it's gone, it's like, great decision. Now I can work on other items.
Yeah, it frees you up. And that is one of the secrets as to why we include a free donation drop off with each organizing session, because we want it to leave your house immediately so that it doesn't trickle back in or,
Yep.
Let me look through those one more time.
Yeah.
Let's free ourselves up and let's, keep moving forward to keep that momentum going.
Yeah.
Well, nice. I'm glad that Marie Kondo's book helped inspire you, Kate, and I hope that you'll enjoy Margarita's book as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other favorite quotes or nuggets from the book?
I think one of the things that really stood out to me in the book is the level of transparency. And that's the thing that I think about when we were cleaning out my great-grandmother's belongings from my grandmother's house. Is there's all this history wrapped up in it, and she was the one who knew the history to those things, and she knew how it could create the most value. And when my family was grieving that loss, getting wrapped up in the mystery of it, I think there's having extreme transparency when you're in that emotional state is so helpful. Having it be really clear what people wanted or the importance and context of everything. I think the mystery creates a lot more emotion to kind of come into the situation. As when the conversation turned legal, it's like, yeah, we don't know what they wanted, but sometimes if we do, then we can know if we're really respecting somebody's context and wishes about what they want with their things. So I think about that with the stuff that I have, and it's like, what importance does this have for the world or just for me, and thinking about making a differentiation there.
Nice. I love that perspective. Thanks for sharing that.
She also told just a very sweet story. When her mother died, before she died, she left instructions on what to do with her things. And she says, and I'm quoting, even if these small instructions were not addressed specifically to me, I felt consoled by them. I felt that my mother was there for me. And that was really nice. Being clear about where you want things to go.
Yeah. I think her mother had labeled things and attached notes to clothing.
Notes on clothes and things. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe labeled photographs so people would know who these people in the pictures are. Yeah.
It's like a gift from your loved one after they aren't there anymore.
Yeah.
I remember reading in our blog, Andrea, that with your great aunt dying at 86 and not really having a plan, and you were the only able-bodied person in your family able to take care of her things, you almost felt resentful and forgot how much you loved her because of this extreme burden.
Yeah, it just, it made me angry. I had 2 little kids at the time. You know, we were living in just outside of New York City. She lived in the city, so I had to commute in with a car to take her stuff. And, you know, it just took months to clean out her stuff. And I was angry for a long time. And it took me a long time to get back to the place where I was grieving for her and missing her. And, you know, I just had to get through 96 bags of junk mail first, you know.
That's a lot of junk mail.
It's a lot.
Yeah. When my grandma moved down from Seattle to the Beaverton area, and my aunt, one of my mom's sisters, had lived with her, and we didn't know until a few weeks before she passed that she had bipolar disorder, and she would go out on these shopping sprees as part of this. And she lived with my grandma in this little 700 square foot house, and she had gone on these shopping sprees and just squirreled away. The house was completely stuffed. So it took 6 of us 5 full weekends of driving up, you know, from Portland to Seattle to tackle all that. Yeah, 700 square foot house and a 1-car garage, and it took that many hours. So it is hard not to be upset with that person, even if maybe they had a mental illness or maybe dementia. We often see that in clients who have dementia, and kind of their house is an absolute disorganized mess, but maybe the family doesn't know for quite a long time what's going on. And then they hire us to come in and help out after their loved one passes. So it is hard not to feel resentful under certain situations, for sure. Is there anything like you feel like was missing from the book, or that you didn't agree with?
I didn't agree with the fact that she said, you know, don't hire people, do it yourself, do it with your family. I disagree. I think having a neutral third party, and this is totally a plug for Big Rocks, but I think it makes it much easier to have somebody who can be dispassionate about the things you have. And, you know, nobody forces to make stuff go away, but it's just nice to have somebody who's not emotionally involved to help you out.
Yeah.
I think in the writing and editing space, even the best editor in the world is going to need an editor.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's some, and then in the fitness space, some people like to do fitness on their own. Maybe Marie Kondo is now organizing completely alone. But, you know, even when you get really fit, it's still helpful to have a trainer
Yeah, exactly.
to get to that next level. So
We all need Kate's friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Long before Marie Kondo and the Swedish death cleaning was an article, I believe it was from the Post. So it was a couple who had no children and very few family members, like a few nieces and nephews and anyway, they had a 4-story house in Washington, D.C., but they were in the diplomatic corps. So they traveled the world as part of their work, but they always kept their home base and would bring back, you know, beautiful pieces of art or a special carpet or, you know, art from all the different countries where they served. And they lived there for many years. And then they reached the point where they're like, we can't do this 4-story house anymore. So they invited friends and family in for 2 or 3 days to take one item. And it might have been valued at $5,000 or $10,000, but it was like, we love you. If you will enjoy that, please take it. And then after that phase, then, well, no, first of all, they moved their stuff to like a 2-bedroom condo, the stuff that they wanted to keep. And then they opened it up to family and friends to take 1 or 2 items. And then they opened it up to the neighborhood. And then what was left, they had somebody like Big Rocks come in, and because apparently it was quite nice stuff. You know, it wasn't hoarder stuff. And so it was a really kind of practical, progressive type way of letting go. And I thought, I don't know, I kept that article. It reminded me to do it sometime.
It's so smart
Yeah.
Great
and
idea.
so loving to friends. That's really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
There's that bit in there about letting each of your loved ones take one thing. And that kind of connects back to the Swedish death cleaning as well. Like I think Marie Kondo talks about this as well, right? Fewer things that really hold significance to people.
Yes.
That was totally mind blowing when I first encountered that concept. I was like, of course.
Yeah.
When I was years and years and years and years ago, when I was divorced, I did that when I had to move. I told my friends to come and I took what I wanted, and then I put out everything I was going to get rid of. And I said, take what you want, to my friends, and they did. And I did that same thing. Not because I was dying, but because, well, my marriage was over, but I was moving to a very small place. And I have a friend who said, oh, I remember this picture so well. And she uses it. So
Wonderful.
yeah, it's a good way.
Yay.
Yeah. There's also this software. There's a free version and a paid version. It's called Fair Split. People use it when going through a divorce or if someone's passed away, but it does that kind of round robin. So everybody gets to say which items they're interested in, and then it figures out an equitable way to allocate those items or to split them fairly between the people who are involved. So
I
that
do this.
might be a resource for people. It's called Fair Split.
I'll look that up. When my mother passed, I put the items that I really wanted on a table, and I said, I told my sisters to take what they want, but these were the things I would like to have, and whatever's left, I'll take. And then I went away shopping for, you won't believe this, plants. And then I came back, and what was left, I took, and there was three. I think there were three things. We each took three things, and so we didn't end up with things we really didn't care for. It's things that meant something to us. So, I mean, it's hard, but when someone has passed that you love, but you have to share. You have to make that decision.
Yeah, maybe curate and just keep the best of the best in the items, like Sophie was saying, that have the most significance. Yeah. I'm curious if anybody we haven't heard from yet this afternoon would like to pose a thought or a question to the group or share something. Yeah. Jean?
I have, well, it's not really a question, but it seems like kind of a conflict. I mean, you like the stuff that you have in your house and you want to live with it. I mean, of course, there's a lot of stuff that, is in closets that could easily be gotten rid of, but there are many, many things that are assets to your life. And then the idea of getting rid of these things early and giving them away is kind of a conflict. Why would I want to do that when I want to enjoy those things? It like when, I mean, if, how do you know when to do it really? I mean, because these things add joy to your life.
And you don't have to let anything go until you're ready for that time. The author of the book, for her, it was when she moved to a much smaller place and she couldn't take a lot of things with her, or she didn't need them anymore because she no longer had a yard, for example, or a garden. So I think you will know when it's time. And it's perfectly fine if you are enjoying your things and they bring you joy, then by all means, continue to be surrounded by them.
Well, I have given away a couple of things. My son wanted an old sword that had belonged in the family a long, long time ago. He was kind of a famous person, but kind of a nefarious person, so I won't say who it was. But anyway, my son wanted the sword, and he wanted me to put that in my will, that he would get that. And then my daughter wants a beautiful teen painting of a little girl with big eyes in a San Francisco scene. And my daughter lives in San Francisco. And this is a beautiful painting. She wanted that. So I put her name on the back of it. And in the meantime, I already sent the sword to my son for his birthday. So there's two things.
Good job. That's
I'm starting small. Two
those
things.
items are very meaningful to your kids, and that's great. And it sounds like you no longer need them right now. And what a great birthday gift to send to your son.
Wow.
There was a moment in one of, I think it might have been Goodbye Things, another really great book, but I think there's also this differentiation that sometimes is made between enjoying your things and living with your things, that sometimes, and especially as we move or have different sorts of community, sometimes you still have access to those things without having to live with those things. So giving them up or sharing them with someone else, you'll still be able to use it or see it or enjoy it, but it's not in your space. And especially if your space is getting smaller. Yeah, especially as my space has grown smaller over the years, it's like, I need to reimagine, what do I want to live with? And then I still am able to access different things that I love and enjoy, but I'm not living with it all the time.
That makes me think of pets, Sophie, and how she talks about pets in the book. And then I think of Andrea kind of sharing pets with her adult kids and having them part-time. So it might not just apply to things, but also to our furry friends as well, that we could share. Yeah. Is there anybody else that we haven't heard from today that has a comment or a thought or a question? So it seemed like nobody here has watched the TV show. Is that right?
No.
No.
One of the folks on our team has, and she really appreciated it because it had multiple perspectives and it was uplifting rather than being sensationalized. So we'll have to check it out. I believe it's on Peacock, which is a streaming service.
There's also a Facebook group dedicated to the gentle art of Swedish Death Cleaning. It's really helpful, and people are very compassionate and have good tips.
Nice. And we also have a supportive Facebook group as well with Big Rocks.
Yes.
And Marcia, I see your hand is up.
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, sorry. So I thought that you guys were going to talk more about personal, not so much estates from parents or people. I mean, I really appreciate the responses, but that's what I thought you were going to talk about, specifically dealing with things to let go of. So my issue is an impossibility. First of all, I'm financially stressed. I can't afford to hire somebody, although I'd love to have you guys come and help me. That's number one. Number two is sometimes there aren't easy answers. And like what I think Jean was saying about not wanting to part with things, to live with things. So I've had to get smaller. I was forced out of my home of 24 years because I couldn't afford it anymore. So I'm in a small space. It's about 500 square feet. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to get this long-winded thing condensed, but I have a lot of things. I'm an artist. I'm a textile artist. I'm a writer. I have tons of fabric and that I haven't used for years. But I'm not willing to part with them because what happens is I go back, if I'm doing alterations, if I'm doing something, I go back to these old fabrics that have been stashed for years and I utilize them. So it's a reality check too. I get it. I don't want to pass away with my brother or sister having to deal with this. So I don't know if there's a question in there. But I, because of your Zooms, I really appreciate it. It's getting me thinking and starting. at least. So I opened up the front closet there and pulled out several things that I don't want. And so at least, and then so it's a start. So I think the networking, the support is essential, and to have community so that we're not isolated about our stuff. You know what I mean? And also the historical value, because my parents have been very vocal about their history. They're refugees, and I have a lot of what my father gave me, and I can't give that up. And so I can maybe put it out in the proper spheres out in the world. But right now it feels just so stressful and so impossible. So thank you for letting me spew here.
Thanks for sharing your situation, Marcia, and kudos to you for starting with your closet and finding things that you are able to let go of, because that's going to make space for the things that are important to you, like the items from your dad, the fabrics that you do utilize. Yeah, and thank you for letting us be part of your community on your journey. We're honored.
And I hope that you will continue with the Zooms, because I think hearing each other is so valuable. So I'm thank you.
Absolutely. We have a question in the chat. What channel is it on? The show, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning, it's on Peacock. So it's a streaming service that is from NBC. So it is a paid service. I don't know how much it is per month, but maybe you could subscribe for 1 month and binge the show, and then you could unsubscribe if you want to.
Comcast is offering it for $2.99 a month for 12 months right now.
Well, that's a steal. Thank you so much, Kate, for letting us know. Yeah. What other thoughts or questions do people have? Because I want to be sure that you walk away today with what you came here for, what drew you to this discussion today.
What
Jill?
drew me is I have started doing this, and my children live next door now. And I know that they're not interested in same things I am. And then I look at items and I go, you know what, my lifestyle isn't this way anymore. But if it's sentimental, if it means something, then I'm keeping it. But if I'm purging those things that my lifestyle has changed dramatically. So I'm purging those things. So that's a start. And then I will dig deeper. But right now I'm trying to remove 10 things from a room that I don't want, do something every day with 10 things, because that's kind of easy peasy way to get rid of things, I think. I'm hoping.
That sounds like a really great strategy. Yeah. Does anybody else have strategies that work well for them? Like some people set a timer, some people pre-schedule donation pickups, maybe from the VVA or another charity, so they have it on the calendar and they've got to be ready. Maybe it's the church rummage sale. Any other ideas or strategies or supports that are helpful for you?
I put a couple of things out on the curb and they were there for a half an hour.
Nice.
They were gone. And one of them was, I was just talking to my neighbor and, 3 houses down, and she said, oh, I want that barbecue. And so we just went down and wheeled it down to her place. It was so easy.
That's awesome. Did you put a sign out there that read free, or did you just put them on the curb?
I did the barbecue, and then I talked to her and I said, well, we better run down there and make sure nobody else is taking it. And then the other was a table for a foyer, and I put a sign on it. I don't know who picked it up, but it was gone the next, within 2 hours. that second thing with a free sign on it. And
Excellent.
I live on a 2-block long street. So we don't get that much traffic. So that was a good resource. And I actually had my neighbor help me with, put the table out there. Because it was pretty heavy. So.
That's great. And then again, community, you're building community by giving your things away to people who could use them. So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yes.
Any other ideas or strategies or maybe favorite takeaways from the book?
I gain a lot of momentum from seeing other people get excited about something in their own right. So that's been a way that I've gotten started and like continued a little bit. It's easier for me to like list something and then have that human connection of like, I get to pass this on and kind of have that like gratitude and like see somebody else's excitement to carry that item into a new life. And that kind of eases it. It's like I get to enjoy it while it's listed for as long as it's listed, and then at the right time it gets to get passed along. The other strategy I've done is I've kind of blocked my eyes from my space and I've made a list of all the things that I can think of that are super important to me in my space. What would I not want to live without? And then when I revisit my space and start opening cabinets, it gives me a different awareness of like, I'd forgotten about that. How important is it? It doesn't mean that I have to get rid of the things that I forgot on my list, but it reminds me of things that it creates kind of different mental markers for me as I move around my space after I've made a list like that.
That's a really great idea. Both ideas. Thank you so much, Sophie. So we have a comment from Kate in the chat. There used to be a donation site that accepted almost anything that could be used by teachers and crafts. I don't recall the name. At one time they were in Northwest Portland on Burnside. Are they around still? I wonder if you're thinking about Scrap PDX, Kate?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And so they have Fridays between 11 and 2. You can drop off up to 3 boxes, bankers boxes of items, or you need to pre-schedule an appointment. I scheduled an appointment yesterday and they were booking out to September 14th. So you might want to book in advance because that's a popular place to donate to.
Okay.
I think the buy nothing sites on Facebook, which you can look at, you can join your local one, are a great resource, not only to get rid of things that you don't want, but also if you pay attention to them, you'll see somebody trying to help somebody out who's starting, left an abusive relationship, needs some furniture. So I read them every day. And if there's something that somebody needs and I have it, I'm so happy to give it away. It's a really good resource.
Nice. And you don't have to be on Facebook. There's a new app for it too, that people can download to their phones if you're not comfortable with Facebook or you don't want to be on there. So I think you can reach more people now as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And you can also borrow things for a one-time use on that group. So we've had people borrow items for weddings. One person was looking for a dog sweater because their family was going skiing and they're taking the family dog and they just needed a dog sweater for one day. Sometimes people ask, can I borrow your snow shovel or a power tool? So they don't have to go out and purchase that item. They're essentially sharing or borrowing items. So it's a neat way to create community as well, and then not have to physically own that item. So Jill asks, can the resource list be sent to us? Yes. So Jean is capturing the resources that we're talking about, and anyone who's registered to attend today will definitely get an email from us. We'll be sending that out later this week or early next week, and it'll also have the video replay in case anybody missed it and wants to watch later. And we'll also put the video link up on our website. Well, we are at about 4:58. So if there aren't any other last comments or questions, I'll just let you know that next month we're going to be talking about paper and what to do with the paper in your life that you no longer want to have in your life, but you might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed by, or maybe it's someone else's paper is in your life that you inherited from someone else. And then in October, I think we're going to talk about photo organizing. And in November, I will see if we could get an estate planning attorney to join us. So that's kind of our trajectory for the next few months. And I hope you'll come back on September 6th and talk about paper with us. Well, thank you so much for being here, everybody. I hope you have a great evening.